Leadership 101 by John C. Maxwell. So it starts off with why Leadership 101, like why is he writing the book, and it outlines what motivated him to write another book, because apparently this is his second book on leadership, but I haven't read the first one. And he believes that you must master relationships, equipping, attitude, and leadership so that you can be an effective leader. He's doing it to make a shorter book for people whose lives are hectic, and it contains the essentials from 30 years of his experience and defines leadership, the traits of a leader, the impact of a leader. He's doing it to show the impact that leadership can have on you and those you're leading in your life. So part one, the developments of a leader. Why should I grow as a leader, he says, and he starts with the quote, "The higher the leadership, the greater the effectiveness." And he explains what he calls the law of the lid. Leadership ability determines a person's effectiveness level. Basically, the higher your leadership, the greater effectiveness you have, so you can raise the lid by gaining leadership knowledge. Leadership can be learned, he says. He says the facts about leadership are respect, experience, emotional strength, people skills, discipline, vision, momentum, timing, and more. The most important fact that he didn't mention, though, is that you have to trust in God to be an effective leader. I just put that in there. Successful leaders are learners, he says. Learning is an ongoing result. Is ongoing and results from self-discipline and perseverance. He talks about how the McDonald's brothers were successful, but they were not good leaders. He claims. He says that when they got with a good businessman, I forgot his name, but when they got with him, he basically took the business to greater heights because he was a leader. And he claims that if you don't have leadership with your effectiveness, you're not going to go as big as you can, which is the law of the lid. So he says, how do I grow as a leader? He says, becoming a leader is like the stock market. Compounding investments daily make your growth exponential. There are 4 phases of leadership growth. He says the first one is, I don't know what I don't know. And most people don't recognize the value of leadership, so they don't even know the opportunities that they're missing because they don't know the value. Phase 2 is, I know what I don't know. And when you're placed in that leadership position and you realize you don't know what's going on, then you can start taking actions to grow your leadership. And phase 3, I grow and know, and it starts to show, he says. While you understand your lack of skills and discipline yourself daily, good things start to happen. So you develop yourself today so you can reap the rewards in the future. And phase 4 is, I simply go because of what I know. Leading becomes second nature in this phase, and you recognize the process and pay the price. In the Bible it's called counting the cost. I'll probably throw up a little verse right there on the screen somewhere. So chapter 3 says, to lead tomorrow, learn today. Leadership is developed daily, and if you cheat on your work on your alone time, it will show when you're out in front of everyone. So champions are not just made overnight. And then he gives an example of Teddy Roosevelt, and you should look into his life because he was a really interesting guy, the way he describes him. Now this is part 2 of the book, the traits of a leader. How to be disciplined. The first person you lead is always yourself. Eliminate any tendency to make excuses. And he gives an example of Jerry Rice. He was a wide receiver. I don't know if he's still playing, but he's called the best wide receiver ever. And he never made excuses. He gave the example of when he was a kid. His coach told him to do like 20 laps or something, and then he was about to quit, but then he got in his head that if he quits right now, he's gonna get it in his head that quitting's all right. He didn't want to do that, so he just went back and did all the laps. He became the best. And move the rewards until the job is done. Stay focused on results. Don't focus on the difficulty of the task, just focus on the reward of the task. Chapter 4, how to prioritize life. The discipline to prioritize and the ability to work toward a stated goal are essential to a leader's success. That's the quote that's the beginning of this chapter. Prioritize and work toward a goal. Success is the progressive realization of a predetermined goal you've already had in the past. And he gives the Pareto principle. You should only spend 80%, or you should spend all your time on basically the top 20% of your priorities, and it will give you 80% of the production. So you have to organize or agonize, choose or lose, evaluate or stalemate. So prioritizing is everything. If it's high importance, high urgency, do it first. Low importance and low urgency, do you have to outsource, as he says, or you just don't do it at all? Choose or lose, you have to become an initiator and not a reactor. Number 3, evaluate or stalemate. Many things are not black and white, but just gray. So what gives you the most return? He wants you to ask yourself. Do something well that you love and sell it, and do what is most rewarding to you. Evaluate, eliminate, and prioritize production and estimate. So he says success in work will be increased if your 3 R's are similar: requirement, return, reward, and reward. If the requirement of the job are my strengths, it will be most return and pleasure. Priority principles. The priority principles. The first priority principle he gives is priorities never stay put. They shift and demand attention. To keep them in place, evaluate, eliminate, and estimate the top priorities and how long they will take. The second principle is you cannot overestimate the unimportance of practically everything. You must know what to ignore. And he gives an example of a young violinist. She would spend most of her time doing chores, so she wasn't making the progress she hoped to in violin. So instead of doing that, she neglected everything but the violin, and she became great at it. The good is the enemy of the best. Most can choose between good and bad, but you have to learn to choose between what is good and what is good. What will do the best outcome for you? And he gives the fourth principle is paralysis of too many choices. You have to learn when to say no to good things and say yes to the best things. The fifth principle is when little priorities demand too much, problems occur. The sixth principle is time deadlines force us to prioritize. Time deadlines force us to prioritize. When the time pressure goes up, we become effective doing the right things as opposed to doing things that are things right, being efficient. Effectiveness is the foundation of success. Too often we learn what is important too late. What would you do if you got cancer today? Go back to your desk and work. So how do I develop trust? Chapter 5. Trust is the foundation of leadership, and we learn how trust works. He akins it to spending pocket change. Make a good leadership decision, you get a little more change. A bad leadership decision, and it takes away change. So a leader's history of success and failures values a difference in his credibility. Makes a difference in his credibility. A leader's history of successes and failures makes a difference in his credibility. Be honest when you mess up and don't take shortcuts in leadership. Exemplify competence, connection, and character. Character allows trust, and trust allows leadership. Character communicates the following: consistency. Leaders without inner strength can't be counted on day after day because their performance changes. Potential. Release follows potential and gives them hope. So potential. Respect. No strength inside equals no respect outside. How can I effectively cast vision? You can seize only what you can see, he claims. He gives an example of Disney when he created the first sound cartoon. Because he created the first sound cartoon, all-color cartoon, and animation feature-length film, motion picture. He got his vision by wanting a place to take his daughters where the illusion doesn't go away, because he took his daughters to an amusement park, and he recognized something about the carousel that caught his eye. The horses were chipped and only the front ones moved, so it was just an illusion, but he wanted to make a place where the illusion is not just an illusion, it's real. So he summed it up in this quote: "No chip paint and all the horses jump." Vision is everything for a leader. Look before you lead. Vision starts within your dreams. Vision draws on your history, and vision meets others' needs. And how can you serve others? Vision helps you gather resources as well, and listen to God and your inner voice. Content with the bad things happening in the world and focus on what you can change. Gain mentorship, and God knows all your full capabilities, and listen to Him above all. Improve your vision by measuring yourself. You can those around you tell what your vision is just by you living around them? And do a gut check, he says. Think about your vision. What makes you cry? What makes you dream? And what gives you energy? So part 3, chapter 7. The impact of a leader, and why is influence important? The truth of leadership is influence is nothing more, or leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. If you have no influence, you're not going to be leading anyone. So how do you measure influence? He gives an example of Princess Diana and Mother Teresa. People voted them to be the most caring people. And he gives 5 myths about leadership after that. The first myth is that management is not leadership. The second is entrepreneurship is not leadership. The third is having knowledge is power, but it's not leadership. The fourth is being a pioneer does not instantly make you a leader. The fifth is because you are in a leadership position doesn't mean you're a leader. So who's the real leader? He has an example where he became the lead pastor. It was his first job out of college, and he became the lead pastor of a church, but someone else was really leading the church because he was still green and being a pastor, and he had no history with the people. So leadership without leverage. You need leverage, but not physical leverage such as money or resources. You need influence to be your leverage. If you don't have any influence, you're not going to have any followers. And so chapter 8, how does influence work then? Real leadership is being the person they will gladly and confidently follow. Even the most introverted person influences 10,000 people during his life, he says. Influence can be developed, and he gives an example of a power triangle. The 3 components of a power triangle are communication, recognition, and influence. The levels of leadership photo I put on the screen right now. So the first level is people follow because they have to. That's called position. The second level is permission. People follow because they want to. The third level is production. People follow because of what you did for the organization. The fourth level is people follow because of what you have done for them. People development, that's what that's called. And the fifth level is personhood. People follow because of what you are and what you represent. If you want me to make a more in-depth video about those levels, then just comment in this comment section. So climbing the steps of leadership. The first thing you need to know is that the higher you go, the longer it takes. The second thing is the higher you go, the more commitment it takes. And the greater the commitment, not only from you, but from your followers. Number 3 is the higher you go, the greater the growth you have. The fourth is the higher you go, the easier the higher you go, the easier it becomes to lead. The fifth thing is you never leave the basics that you learned when you were first starting out. The sixth thing is if you lead a group, you won't be on the same level as everyone. The seventh thing is effective leadership requires you to make other leaders and take them with you. The eighth thing is you must know the level you are on and the level that others are on. So you have to gain respect from the highest level of people. So chapter 9, how can I extend my influence? The act of empowering others changes lives. People under the influence of an empowered person are like the paint in the hands of a talented artist. They can become treasure. Empowering others is one of the keys to success. You must be able to work through others in order to be successful. Enable people to become the best version of themselves, not for greed, but for their own sakes. The qualifications of an empowerer. Number 1 is the position. You need to lead the people you empower. The second one is the relationship. You have to value you people and your time with them. The third is respect. No one cares if you empower them if they don't respect you. And the fourth is commitment. The right attitude to empower. So you have to ask the questions. The right attitude to empower is to... The right attitude to empower. Ask the questions. How to empower others to their potential. Start small and give them larger and larger tasks. Evaluate them on their knowledge, skill, and desire. Model for them. You have to set an example. Give them permission to succeed by expecting them to and verbalizing that you want them to and to be positive towards them. You can help them succeed. Transfer authority to them. Number 5 is publicly acknowledge them, supply them with feedback, and allow them to continue on their own. The results of empowerment is that your life will be better with more people you can trust and more free time because of that. So, chapter 10. How can I make my leadership last? A leader's lasting value is measured by succession. He gives an example of Robert Goizueta, the chairman and CEO of Coca-Cola. When he died, he had a successor who took the company from 4 billion to 150 billion. He made the company sufficient even when he wasn't there, and he made his successor better than he was. Leaders who leave a legacy of succession do this. Number 1, they lead with the long term in mind. They make a leadership culture. They pay today to succeed tomorrow. They value team leadership above individual leadership, and they walk away from the organization when it's necessary. So you have to pass on your success to empower others. And he closes the book by saying, your success as a leader will be judged by how well your people did after you are gone. So thanks for watching, and let me know how I did. I'm always looking to improve, so thank you.